Joining me here on the village square in Waipukurau is Damien O'Connor, the Minister of Agriculture. G'day, Damien.
How are you, Steve? Good to be here.
Yeah. As you can see, the sun always shines. It's like Southern California. The sun always shines here in Hawke's Bay, and as you would have seen on your drive from the airport, we're getting pretty dry.
It is, and hopefully I can bring some West Coast rain up here and leave it with you. And I know it's been pretty challenging, and down the northern part of the South Island too, around Blenheim, been pretty dry. You know, it's a bit green. I can see a green drought, so people might be, I guess, bluffed into thinking that it's all good. But I can understand. You have a look around. There's not much excess feed.
Yeah, although, in my career of 40 years now, I think I've had 10 or 11 droughts. You do get better at farming them as you get more experience, but none of them are easy, and they cause a lot of stress and grief for people.
Look, and I was up here a couple of weeks ago up for the talk to the RMPP group here, and hopefully they're going to carry on. But talking to some of them, of course, they said we just got to adjust our farming practice to take account of the likelihood of these events, and it's kind of it's the reality of just evolving farm practice, land utilisation, and hopefully with a whole lot of technology we get better at adapting to the reality we live in.
Now you're on a tour through Hawke's Bay, and I think down through the Tararua district and over to the Manawatu later this afternoon or this evening. You're with the Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, and I see Karen McAnulty's in the official car with you.
Yeah, and David Clark here as well. So we've come, and there's a whole lot of really good stuff happening here, and I guess this is around the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs, and there's been a whole lot of initiatives underway, during COVID and post-COVID, to get people who might have been displaced or shifted in their work, and some of them, of course, here have been displaced because of the drought, of course, going back over 12 months. So all of those things mean that we have to adjust our government policies, put in place programs that work, and I think you've got great central government, central Hawke's Bay local government here, combining with central government initiatives, and seems they're doing some great work.
I'll be talking to Jacinda shortly. I won't bring this up with her, but one thing that's desperately needed, particularly by horticulture, pip fruit, and the grape growers, although a lot of the picking for the grapes has gone through, but they really need some labour, and some of those Pacific Islands, the people who know what they're doing, who've been here before, can do it. When are we anything on the horizon where we can open up some bubbles with the Pacific nations as we have done with Australia?
Yeah, look, we've had active discussions with the horticultural sector over the last week or two. We've always said as the bubble, as capacity opens up in MIQ, as the bubble with Australia is put in place, and then we'll start to allocate some of those places. For RSC, there's a lot of other people, a lot of Kiwis still wanting to come home, and a lot of other industries looking for highly skilled people coming into the country. But RSC and some of that workforce for horticulture is acknowledged, been working on that, and just watch the space. But in the meantime, initiatives like we have here, going out into the community, kind of advertising on the side of the van here that there are jobs for young people or older people who might not have thought of it. If they come along, knock on the door, then there's good flexible assistance to help them into the right jobs, and that will include the horticultural ones.
Yeah, but as you know, the grape industry got through by all accounts because picking grapes is not as hard as picking apples up and down those ladders on hydro ladders. Although it's only picking apples, it's fairly skilled, and it's actually bloody hard work, and not everyone is able to do it.
No, that's right. And so what you have with some of the new developments in the Hawke's Bay, and I saw those new techniques of growing so that you don't actually have people on ladders. Those are the kinds of emerging technologies that we will see in horticulture that just I guess make some of those jobs easier, more efficient, and we'll have to see more of that rolled out probably more quickly as the reality over time that the movement of people around the world is going to be restricted. We're okay, but in other countries they're still facing COVID, and so we won't see all the backpackers swarming here that we did in the past. RSE workers will be constrained, actually not by necessarily our enthusiasm or openness to take them, but actually their government's willingness to take them back. And at the moment, a lot of Tongan workers can't get back home. They desperately want to, and we shouldn't trap them here in New Zealand. So that's part of the ongoing arrangements around RSE we have to sort.
And just finally, you sit around that cabinet table on a weekly basis and you have the ear of Jacinda and your colleagues. Is agriculture around that table, is it seen for what it has done over the last year and what it does for this country year in, year out? It does the heavy lifting, it's a big part of our GDP and our export earnings. Sometimes we don't feel the love from this particular government.
Well, I'm not sure why. I mean, we've put a huge amount into it. We are making adjustments. We're given clear signals. And sometimes those signals that will require change aren't the ones you want to hear, but they are the ones that are needed. And I say, of course, we acknowledge that agriculture, horticulture, the primary sectors will be at the heart of our economy for a long time, and we're working through the challenges of that climate change, labour requirements, new technology. They're all things we have to work through. But to try and sit down and say, well, you're doing a really great job, just carry on, that's not good enough, because that won't get us to where we need to go. We have to produce the finest food. People are looking at our systems, and we need the premiums to pay good money back to the farmers and everyone involved in the system. And so, I guess Labor governments through time, we took the subsidies off in the 80s. We did the hard things that were needed. We formed Fonterra, We've done these things and we'll continue to do them because we know it's the right thing to do.
Well, in truth, when we've had a Labor government, we haven't done too bad in recent times through the Helen Clark years, particularly those early 2000s. This period of time has been good for agriculture as it was through the later part of the key years. So, probably the government we have at the time has less of an influence on how well we do in terms of our export earnings and our prices.
Look, if we have to kind of shift the direction of travel, and that is in this particular area that we have to focus on our environmental impacts, be aware of them, not just carry on and wake up in 10 years' time and say, as is happening in the Netherlands and Holland now, drastic changes are being imposed upon the farmers over there because they've ended up with far too much nitrate in the waterways. So we're trying to give early indications, give assistance where we can, and there's a lot going out through catchment management groups, through Jobs for Nature. There's a lot of help happening, making sure that our money going to research and development is for the right reasons. And so, we'll be visiting a farm later on today with the Prime Minister and all of us, just getting the latest ideas. And the enthusiasm out there, is still rife. People are really wanting to have a future in agriculture. We'll just give them a reassurance that we're behind them.
Excellent. Damien O'Connor, Minister of Agriculture, thanks for your time and enjoy your day here in Central Hawke's Bay and the Taurua district.
Look, thanks. I always enjoy the sun up here, but as I say, I appreciate you need the rain from time to time, so I hope it comes.